AITA for canceling the payments for my daughter's wedding after she told me my wife isn't invited. My daughter is getting married in the fall. I am supposed to pay for the wedding. That's what we agreed on. We got the save the date invitations a few days after I put the payments through my bank. My wife isn't invited to the wedding. I have been divorced for 15 years and married to my wife now for 8 years. My daughter never really liked my wife. They didn't get along well. My other 2 kids love her. I called my daughter and asked her why my wife isn't invited. She said that it's her wedding day, and she only wants to invite her real family. I said, well, did you invite mom's BF? And she said yes. I said, well, okay. Then you should invite my wife too, or I am not paying for the wedding. She declined and said she isn't inviting my wife. I told her I'll cancel the payments then, and she didn't believe me. I canceled them and my daughter is now super pissed at me, as is my ex-wife. AITA. Story 2. AITA for telling my grandmother she can't see my daughter anymore. Throwaway. Background. I got pregnant with my boyfriend and now fiancé. My daughter Ava is now 2 years old. I'm assuming you can guess from ages this wasn't a planned pregnancy, but we decided we wanted to keep her and become parents. It was incredibly difficult. I know it's not an ideal situation. However, I regard it as the best thing that has ever happened to me. I love my daughter more than anything else in this entire world. Also, Brian and I both just graduated college, and we have jobs. We managed to graduate on time, which I think is a pretty big accomplishment considering our situation. Maybe it's not, but I'm proud of us. My grandmother is very religious and traditional. To say she was upset when she found out I was pregnant would be an understatement. She actually didn't talk to me until I was nearly 9 months along when she begged me to put the baby up for adoption. However, I thought she was finally coming around. She even came to Ava's 2nd birthday party and gave her a Christmas present this year. There was supposed to be a family reunion in 2020, but it was cancelled and now it's happening this year. My grandmother is hoisting it. She invited me, but I can't bring Ava or Brian. She can invite who she wants, that's not the problem. I did ask why though, since my sister and cousins are bringing their kids. She told me that she wasn't going to allow me to parade my excuse of a family around. She said that is shameful to the family that I had a baby out of wedlock. She also told me that she didn't even want to invite me because me being there is almost just as bad since everyone knows what a disgrace I am, but my dad would have pitched a fit if she invited my sister and not me. I told her I wasn't ashamed of Ava and she shouldn't be either. She told me that my mistake means my family will be judged. She also called Ava a bastard. I was really pissed off. I was literally shaking when she told me that. I told her that she wouldn't have to be ashamed of me or Ava any longer because she wouldn't be seeing either of us anytime soon. I'm not going to the reunion now and I intend to avoid events my grandmother will be at. I am furious. She doesn't have to agree with my choices, but to call my daughter a mistake and a bastard is crossing a huge line. Besides, if she truly feels this way, what's the harm in not seeing us? I don't want her to ever have the chance to call Ava these things in front of her. I want her to grow up knowing that she might be unplanned. She is very loved. My grandmother is mad at me. So are my aunts and uncles. They keep messaging me and calling me an asshole and a bitch for keeping her great-granddaughter from her when she won't be around forever. Also, my dad and sister made the decision not to go after they found out why I wasn't. So I'm also being called an out for that. AITA. Story 3. AITA for telling my brother he's failing his daughter. My brother is a single father to his daughter who is 14. Okay, at the core, I appreciate the rough spot he's in as a single dad, but I think he's failing his daughter when it comes to her health. She's over 210 pounds at 14. What's worse is, he doesn't seem bothered. His whole thing is that she can just eat what makes her happy. He lets her run the show in that sense. I've been over at their place and she won't stop eating until she's completely full. She'll eat dinner, whine about being hungry, pretty much demand more food, and he'll willy-nilly give her a bag of chips. He knows she's big. He knows he's spoiling her, but it comes back to her happiness. I asked him how happy she'll be weighing 300 pounds at 18. He deflected. It's just hard to see. She has mobility issues, in that she gets winded quickly, struggles up multiple flights of stairs, and has begun to waddle a bit. It's not uncommon at all for her to sit there and tug at her jeans or shirt and complain they're snug. She brings up back and foot pain frequently. When she's visited me, she'll tell me I have no food here when there's a full fridge, full freezer, and she insists we go buy food. Essentially what I'm getting at is, as she's gotten heavier, her attitude has gotten worse. I tried to explain all of this to him a few days ago and he told me it was a gross mischaracterization of his parenting, and that he's just trying to do right by her as best he can. AITA. Story 4. AITA for not being upset my brother died. I 22 female, and my brother 26 meters. Were raised by my parents who were emotionally and verbally abusive and manipulative. They also favored my brother to the degree where he was literally the entire family's golden child. They kissed the ground he walked on, and were disgusted by mine, so due to our upbringing. During his mid-late teens, he began to exhibit very aggressive behaviors towards anyone but my dad. And still they worshipped him. These behaviors got to the point where he once tried to attack me, put my life at risk a few times. He was cruel and abusive for over 5 years. All of this, he of course denies, and was smart enough to do with no witnesses when aimed at me. My entire family preaches his innocence, and how he could never do these things. I moved out at 19, and with space I realized how none of it was normal or acceptable. Since then I have put as much distance between us as possible, and am moving interstate next week for this amongst other reasons. To the issue, my brother recently died suddenly as he lost control of his vehicle due to reckless driving and had a head-on collision with a family, killing 2 kids and their mother, leaving an orphaned infant. The funeral was yesterday, and I went because my mother literally came to my place and harassed me till I went. At first when I heard of his death I was sad, but that quickly turned into indifference as I remembered how scared and hurt I was for years due to him. As I sat in the pew while I listened to countless people go on about how perfect he was and how his life was taken too early, all I could do was remember everything he ever did and said to me to make my life a literal living hell, and how no matter how hard I tried to have a brother, all he wanted was a punching bag. I waited for the ceremony to be over and then tried to say a few brief goodbyes and leave, texting a friend to come pick me up. My mother grabbed me by the wrist and forced me to stay, where I then sat and was guilted into comforting her and my grandmother. I began feeling nothing but anger as again, he was taken too soon and he didn't deserve it, etc. While I only served to fulfill their needs. I again tried to leave before making a scene, saying, "I need to go. I need to be alone right now." My mother said that if I left now then I better not ever expect her to want to see me again. And the rest of my close family was threatening me by saying I was a horrible sister for not being more upset. I said that I just needed space and was not in a good mindset right now to be around others. They continued, saying they wish I rotted in hell, amongst other things. I left and waited at a nearby gas station to be picked up. I have been getting countless texts, calls, emails and messages threatening me and telling me how much of a horrible sister I am. So, AITA for not being upset over my brother's death, and not comforting my family in a time of need.